The sun beat down on the dunes, painting the sky impossible oranges and purples. Inside the silk tent, the air was thick, heavy with the scent of hot sand and something else, an almost electric tension. We had been here for weeks, David and I. He, the pragmatic engineer, me, the biologist fascinated by extreme life forms. Two different worlds forced to coexist in this artificial oasis. Our conversations used to be strictly professional, data analysis, logistics, plans for the next day. But lately, something had changed. Gazes held a second longer than necessary. That afternoon, while reviewing my notes on desert lichens, I noticed David watching me. It wasn't a casual glance, there was an intensity that ran through me like a shock. I looked away, feigning concentration, but felt my cheeks burn. The silence filled with unsaid words, with possibilities shimmering like mirages in the air. David cleared his throat. "Elena," he said, his voice a bit deeper than usual, "do you think the life support systems will withstand another sandstorm like yesterday's?" It was a technical question, normal. But the way he phrased it, the way his blue eyes sought mine, it tasted like something else. Like a test, a challenge. "I trust your engineering, David," I replied, holding his gaze. "You built this bubble to withstand the impossible. Like those creatures I study." A barely perceptible smile curved his lips. "Everything has a breaking point, Elena. Even the strongest silk, the hardest rock." The double entendre hung between us, thick as the midday heat. We knew we weren't just talking about the tent or the weather. That night, the full moon bathed the desert in an eerie silver light. The generator hummed softly, a mechanical counterpoint to the infinite silence outside. We were sitting on low cushions, sharing a bottle of wine we had saved for a special occasion. Was this the occasion? We talked about our before lives. His fiancée in London, my complicated situation in Madrid. Distant ghosts in this intense present. "It's strange," David said, swirling his glass, "to feel so disconnected from all that. As if only this exists now." I nodded, unable to articulate. The wine, the heat, his proximity. Everything conspired to dissolve my defenses, brick by brick. His hand brushed against mine as he reached for the bottle. It wasn't accidental. I felt the spark shoot up my arm, straight to the center of my chest. Our eyes met again. This time, there were no technical questions or double entendres. Just a naked, dangerous truth. He leaned towards me slowly, closing the space between us. My breath caught in my throat, expectant. Was this happening? Here, in the middle of nowhere, under the watchful eye of the desert moon? A part of me screamed no, but another whispered yes. His lips brushed against mine, a barely perceptible contact, yet it ignited every nerve ending in my body. It was soft, tentative. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the moment. The outside world, the dunes, the science, the promises made to others, everything faded away. The kiss deepened, no longer tentative, but charged with the tension built up over weeks. It was a new language between us, one we understood perfectly. His hands found my waist, firm, possessive. I felt the heat of his skin through the thin fabric of my blouse. My fingers tangled in his short hair, exploring the texture, pulling him closer. The world shrank to this space, this contact. We broke apart to breathe, our foreheads resting against each other. His warm breath caressed my face. "Elena," he whispered my name as if it were a secret, a forbidden prayer. I didn't answer with words. I simply sought his lips again, sealing our silent pact in the stillness of the desert. The silk of the tent seemed to glow in the moonlight, a silent witness to our transgression. Outside, only the wind whispered secrets to the dunes. His hands explored my back, tracing imaginary lines on my skin. Each brush was a question, each caress an answer. I shivered, not from cold, but from an anticipation that ran through me from head to toe. It was like discovering a new species, dangerous and fascinating. He slid the straps of my blouse down, exposing my shoulders to the caress of the air in his lips. A delicious shiver. My body responded instinctively, arching towards him, seeking more of that forbidden contact that felt so right. I started unbuttoning his shirt, my fingers clumsy with emotion. I wanted to feel the skin beneath my hands, the solidity of his body. He helped me, his eyes never leaving mine, a silent, burning communication passing between us. His chest was exposed, strong, tanned by the desert sun. My hand rested over his heart, feeling the rapid beat that echoed my own. We lay down on the cushions and Persian rugs covering the tent floor, an improvised nest in the midst of immensity. The silk fabric billowed softly with the night breeze filtering through the entrance, creating dancing shadows on our bodies. Every kiss, every caress, was a discovery. We explored each other's terrain with the curiosity of scientists and the urgency of lovers. His mouth trailed down my neck, leaving a fiery path. My breath became ragged, lost in the sensation. The world had shrunk to sensations. The softness of the silk, the roughness of his stubble, the taste of wine on his lips, the heat radiating from our bodies. There was a growing urgency, a need to erase the boundaries between us, to merge into one under the starry desert sky. The last barriers fell, clothes sliding onto the silk like dry leaves swept by the wind. His gaze swept over my body with a mixture of admiration and desire that made me feel powerful and vulnerable at the same time. I caressed the muscles of his back, the skin taut over bone. It was real, tangible, this moment stolen from time and reason. We moved together, an instinctive rhythm, ancient as the dunes surrounding us. It was a dance of need and surrender. Every sigh, every stifled moan, echoed in the intimacy of the tent, absorbed by the silk and the night. I felt the deep connection, not just physical, but as if our solitudes had met and recognized each other in the midst of isolation. The climax found us together, a silent explosion that seemed to stop time. Only the beating of our hearts existed. We lay in silence, wrapped in each other's warmth and the silk. The moon continued its indifferent course across the sky. His finger traced the outline of my face, a tender caress that contrasted with the passion of moments before. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. I opened my eyes and met his blue gaze. "About the irreversible," I whispered. "About how nothing will ever be the same again." He said nothing, but his embrace tightened, as if wanting to shield me from the consequences we both knew would come. Dawn found us like that, huddled together, the tent tinged pink by the first rays of sun. The magic of the night dissipated with the light. The return to routine was strange. We moved with a new awareness of each other, avoiding contact, measuring words. But the glances were still there, now heavy with the weight of the shared secret, with the memory of the heat beneath the silk. We knew the expedition would end soon, that we would return to our lives, to our promises. But something had broken, and something new had been born. One night, while observing the stars through the telescope, I felt his presence behind me. He didn't approach. He just stood there, sharing the silence, the immensity. We no longer needed words to understand each other. What would happen when we returned? Could we pretend that this connection woven in silk and sand, never happened? I turned and looked at him. His eyes reflected the stars, a universe of contained emotions. He raised a hand, as if to touch me, but let it fall. The distance between us was physical, but also an invisible barrier of what should be. The desert holds many secrets, Elena, he finally said, his voice husky. And we are one of them now, I replied, accepting the bittersweet truth. The silk tent, our refuge and the stage for our laps, now felt like a gilded cage. The following days passed with forced professionalism. We avoided solitude, long silences. But every accidental brush of hands passing an instrument, every shared glance over the monitors, rekindled the flame. One afternoon, reviewing seismic data, I found an anomaly. David, look at this, I said, pointing to the screen. He leaned over my shoulder to get a better look. I felt his breath on my neck, the warmth of his body so close. I closed my eyes for an instant. Interesting, he murmured, but his voice sounded distracted. I knew he felt the electricity in the air too. We pulled apart abruptly, as if burned. The tension was almost unbearable. The last day arrived like a sentence. We packed our equipment in silence, each lost in thought. As we dismantled the tent, sunlight flooded the space where we had shared so much. It was just sand now. Before getting into the vehicle that would take us back to civilization, we looked at each other one last time. There were no promises, no passionate farewells. Just a look that held all the heat of the desert, all the complexity of what we had experienced. A secret sealed in silence.